All right, very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try a little experiment here. I don't think it's going to work too well, but let's see what happens because this should really be the theme song of Peel Yourself Off to Matt Monday. This is from the old Ed Sullivan show. I'm going to hit this thing, Lubie. It's probably going to sound like crap, but let's see what we got. Here we go. You ready? Are you on board with this as a producer of the show? I mean, your name is attached.
I mean, you should have just told me, and I would have gotten the song. But go.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just thought of it like 3 seconds ago. I actually thought this song was about a different day. So here we go. Monday morning, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you can pull that up somewhere, but
I heard it, but yeah, it's fine. I can have it
like enough of that
next Monday.
I don't know why that isn't played universally on Mondays to introduce virtually every show that goes on, whether you're talking about radio, TV, and or video streaming, whatever format you happen to be on. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good to have you guys with us. And wow, I mean, it's one of those days too. I hate to say this, but where do you begin? So many things happening. You had some of the weenie conference tournaments. You already have some tickets punched for the NCAA tournament. The major conferences, their tournaments get underway, what, today? With assorted action all over the place. Although I don't see anything listed there. Is it tomorrow that they really get?
It's usually Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday.
All right, Tuesday. So you have all of that to be decided. Although it looks like Lock City in a bunch of these conferences. It never always turns out that way. You have Duke is minus 375 favorite to win the ACC. Does not appear that there is really any threatening team. Although I was reading a handicapping column that is adjacent to the odds to win these tournaments, and they're giving Louisville a shot off that victory on Saturday. Boy, was I wrong about that game, huh? I couldn't understand this, Lubie, in looking at that game, and I did that little bit with the guys from Louisville there, ESPN Radio in Louisville. They had me on last time when Louisville met Miami in football and wanted to come back and do it again on this basketball game, which, as you know, I knew nothing about, except that reading certain handicapping takes and perspectives on the game. I don't really like the word takes. Do you, Lubie? It became too common. I guess Jim Rome kind of brought that out. Well, have a take. And what was this saying again? Have a take and what was the back end of that thing? Have a take and something. Anyway, somebody might know that. You can pop that up on the chat line. I'm blanking on that. Oh, and don't suck. That was it. Have a take and don't suck. You don't remember him saying that all the time when he used to go to the telephone calls?
I never really knew Jim Rome like that. So no, I didn't know. I know he had pretty interesting callers, but I didn't know he said, have a take and don't suck.
Very Lubie-esque. I mean, if you were going to design a show, surprised he didn't steal that from you. Maybe he did. Anyway, yeah, so I couldn't have been any more wrong. I asked a professor about the ball game, and he said, well, Louisville's playing lousy ball right now. Miami's playing very well. The game's at home. What I couldn't understand, and I believe it went off this way, was why Louisville was favored and was also the pick of artificial intelligence-based handicapping. Various people that were analyzing the game, they all, for some reason, like Louisville, who was horrendous on the road all year long, Miami was something along the lines of like 15-2 at the Wasco Center and had been playing great basketball, knocked off a bunch of really good teams towards the end of the regular season, was establishing or about to an all-time record for most wins in a regular season by a University of Miami team. And what happens? See, the voice is back. That's when you know the vocal cords are back together. I can do the high notes. It really is right out of the Righteous Brothers when Bobby Hatfield couldn't do the high notes anymore and Bill Medley had to take over completely with that baritone. You never close your eyes anymore. And then Hatfield, he couldn't come up with anything. I saw him at the Orleans when he was falling apart on stage there. And you're like, it's kind of like when Roger Daltrey couldn't go for those high notes anymore from The Who. And it sort of lost its effectiveness, that's for sure. But I'm back with that. Sure enough, Miami loses that ball game. They lose by 3. And that has sparked some interest in Louisville at 9-1 to win the ACC tournament. Do you see anybody knocking off Duke? Duke has been known to choke a game here and there, although they don't appear on a path to do that right now. Maybe they lose before they get to the Final Four. That's certainly a possibility. Anything can happen. Team comes in, as a professor's been touting, and we all know this from playing ball in any type of sport. And then one team gets hot. All of a sudden, they're hitting all of their threes. Your team goes a little bit cold, and even the most blatant of mismatches can go the wrong way. University of Miami, a 20-1 shot to win the ACC. Florida State, this guy, Michael Ture, is the name of this handicapper that happened to be featured in a column about the ACC tournament. And he goes through these possibilities of teams that could win the tournament. He has Florida State at 150-1 to win the ACC tournament.
Which is fine. If you look at where they fall, if you look at how they played the last month and a half, only Duke's played better in conference.
And they played Duke a very tight ball game. That was one of his points.
Yes, they lost within 3 to Duke. And Virginia, I guess, is a better team, but Virginia's had struggles, and they lost again to Virginia by like 3, and they were leading the entire game versus Virginia. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. They're in the middle of the pack. Where do they place with the rest of the ACC? I don't know. But they're playing. They've won 10 out of their last 13 ACC games. They are playing really well right now. SMU, who was on the bubble trying to fight for a tournament spot, they dominated the crap out of SMU Saturday, where Miami struggled. I look, Daisy's lucky FSU took 3 weeks to wake the hell up, because if they had started 3 weeks earlier, they would have finished top 4 in the conference, and they'd be top 25, and they'd be a tournament team.
150-1, Lubie. Are you tempted?
I mean, I might actually at that number, because that's
only $10 gets you 1,500.
I was gonna say for $10, it's worth it. Like I may have you or Ken do that for me, just for. I don't think they're gonna win the conference, but I can see them getting to the last 4, and if you get the last 4 on a 150-1 bet, that's pretty cool. So.
You would have to get Ken to do it for you, because I don't partake in any of these apps.
Yeah, I'll talk to Ken. I guess, look, it took Laux, unlike Lucas, who came right in and really turned it around for UM. It took Laux the first month and a half to figure it out. I mean, Ham left him with an utter disaster. Like, well, Arenega's issue was injuries. It wasn't get a talent acquisition. Ham sucked the last 3 to 4 years and left FSU in an utter mess. So Laux, it took them a little time to clean it up, but they played really good basketball lately, and they have a top 10 recruiting class. And FSU football is a disaster, but basketball at least looks bright. I think Miami does too. I don't know what that game was versus Louisville. I don't know.
That was weird. I couldn't understand it for the life of me as I was getting ready to do this guy's radio show, and I'm looking at all these different perspectives on what was going to happen in a game. And you're trying to figure out how on earth is Louisville favored on the road when they've been a horrible road team against a very good home team, and a team that's ranked higher. Obviously, I don't think Louisville is anywhere. Are they in the top 25? Maybe at the very bottom? No.
No.
OP, as they say in dog racing. Out of picture.
Miami was ranked. It was Miami had just gotten ranked, and they're not ranked.
Anyway, I love this because the guy goes through all this analysis about teams that have a shot. He names Louisville 9-1, Miami 20-1, Florida State 150-1, and then in the conclusion, he has a consensus and he says, "Go ahead and bet Duke at -375." What the hell was that?
I agree with him, but
tell me something. Yeah, okay. So Duke's going to be hard upset. You look at the other major conferences. Zona is favored not as heavily as Duke. But because the next closest team to Duke in the ACC odds is Virginia at +750. So you're getting 750 for 100. Louisville 9-1, and Miami, surprising. How is there such a discrepancy there? If Louisville's 9-1, how is Miami 20-1 to win this thing? Interesting. But in the Big 12, Zona's -105, Houston +225, and then you go to Iowa State at +750. This is a conference tournament, too, where we've seen it happen, where the best team sometimes doesn't put its best foot forward, knowing that they're going to the NCAA tournament anyway.
Yeah.
And you'll see a team get knocked off in the championship game, or even before that was a prohibitive favorite. UConn is number 1 in the Big East. St. John's right behind them. And Villanova sort of a distant third. Everything else is a bomb. And in the SEC, Florida, a prohibitive favorite at -105. The next closest team to them is Arkansas at 6-1. So that goes along with Lubie, these teams, and I love the Weenie Conference teams to get the automatic bid. I hope they never go away from that because I think it adds a lot of fun. Is Queens? Are they actually from Queens? Queens is it Queens College that made the NCAA tournament, or is there another Queens that I don't know about?
I think it's actually in Queens, but I'll look it up.
Queens. They won the A Sun Conference. High Point, one of my favorite teams, wins the Big
Oh,
South.
yeah, it's saying it's college in Queens, New York.
Queens College in the
There's
NCAA.
one in Charlotte as well. So I don't know.
Maybe that's the one that's there because it's
But
North.
this is okay. Okay, is it Queens College or Queens University? Queens University.
It's probably university.
Okay.
Shows you what we know about this thing, and we're discussing it. Northern Iowa is in. LIU is in. That one I know. Long Island University. Tennessee State and North Dakota State already in the NCAA tournament. So we have a lot more to be decided there before they have Selection Sunday next Sunday. Are you inclined to watch the Selection Sunday show, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
No, I haven't watched the Selection Sunday in a long time. I mean,
It was
FSU.
Jay Billis, right? I mean, you're stuck with Billis the whole time.
I know.
Or
It's a
is
lot,
it
I know
more
usually a
true?
lot of minority. I don't know. I mean, I would probably be more inclined to watch CBS these days than watch what ESPN's throwing out there. But yeah, I don't. I haven't watched a Selection Sunday in a while. I don't know.
Talk about boring. My God. I used to think that about the draft, and then the draft became a phenomenon. Selection Sunday, what? You get the shot of the teams that they have assembled, and they get announced as having a bid, and they all go ape. That's pretty much a repetitive thing. It's
Yes.
kind of like the highlights. I was watching NHL Network, just flipping channels, and I couldn't help but stop on this thing because they had condensed down what was going on between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Buffalo Sabres. And I wish we could play these clips, Lubie. I believe shortly in the future, in the short term, we'll be able to do some of this stuff, courtesy of A.J. Johnson's brilliant leadership at Bleacher Brothers, getting the rights to go ahead and play all of these clips. And we'll be able to use these highlights on the show. So we might be reformatting some stuff here on the program because the highlights of this game it was reminiscent. I guess the all-time leader in penalty minutes per game, or in an individual game, involved, of course, the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, I want to say that this was after they were the infamous, or what would you call it? Is it infamous or renowned? Broad Street Bullies. Because
Wow.
renowned. Okay. I want to say that I saw in a graphic that this took place in like 2002 where the Flyers were involved in a game where they had over 400 penalty minutes
Oh,
assessed.
Jesus.
400. This was insane, though. So the way they had this thing set up, you couldn't help but stop on it and wonder what the F is going on. What the hell is going on out there? It's Vince Lombardi time. As the Sabres and the Tampa Bay Lightning literally were dropping the gloves every 4 seconds. And it was a massive fight. It would start out with two guys, and then all of a sudden, they'd all be piling on. I don't know that I've ever seen more fights in a short span in a hockey game. And they even, of course, brawled after the game was over. 8-7 was the final, with a total over-under of like 6 and a hook. So the overplayers were dancing in the streets, and the fists were flying in this one, movie. I think you owe it to yourself, or any sports fan does, if you're into hockey fights, or just the insanity with which this game is played. Because in between, you would have to say that the action took place in between the fights, more so than the fights taking place in between the action. There was more fighting, it seemed, going on incessantly throughout this game than there was actual play, and yet somehow they managed to tally 15 goals together, the two teams. So both coaches were saying this. Lindy Ruff, who's coaching the Sabres and obviously doing a very good job this year. Sabres have resurrected themselves from the grave and have played some very, very exciting hockey and effective hockey. But listen to me with the exciting and effective there. I sound like Don Cherry. Oh, well, it's some effective hockey. But if you can get the condensed highlights of this game, Louis, I recommend it to all sports fans. And I don't know that it'll make you think that hockey is the greatest sport that you could possibly find in terms of the way guys compete. And they absolutely don't care. As soon as the fight is over, they're all cheering each other on. There at one point, Lubie, I believe there might have been 6 Tampa Bay Lightning players in the penalty box, And it looked like some group picture where everybody squeeze in a little bit.
Oh
And the
my
same
God.
thing was true of the Buffalo Sabres. So that was pretty wild stuff that was going on there. I was doing a little calculation here, and I don't know how tenuous is it. The Cats 11 out of the wild card with 19 games to play, 5 teams to.
And they're done. Oh, I stopped paying attention.
They're
They can't
finished.
win. They're playing horrendous hockey. I thought they'd at least do a mad dash. They've done the opposite. They've just sort of given in.
How did this? I know injuries, obviously.
Injuries, and then they just never got better.
Bobrovsky not quite the same as
Yeah,
he's
I
been.
mean, you needed Bob to be amazing. The defense needed to really be something to hang their hats on. The defense took a step backwards and got worse. And then Marchand, Barkov, and Kachuk, your three best players, have been in and out of the lineup or just not there the whole year. And it's hard to overcome that. I mean, and they've done a good job at having a deep team, but as we see, those depth pieces really revolve around those three guys, and those three guys really pushed forward the other guys to have their big moments.
Not having many of them.
Yeah, because Bennett and this should have been the year Bennett and Reinhart took a step up, and they didn't. They were fine.
Haven't heard much about those guys either.
They clearly thrive off the other three, and without the other three, they sort of fell flat.
11 out of the wild card right now, and 5 teams are ahead of them in that chase.
I was very wrong. I thought they'd find a way to make the playoffs and then have sort of the magic wand thing happen.
Yeah,
they'd all be healthy at the right time, and I don't think they'd win it all, but they'd maybe win a series or two and make it fun. I really didn't see this, but I also didn't think Kachuk would take as long as he did to get back. He still doesn't look like himself. I didn't realize Marchand would have the issues he's had, and I thought Barkov would maybe be able to come back at some point in the second half of the season, and they just wrote that off from the beginning.
Early on, I think the word was that Barkov may be coming around playoff time, but and that may be true. I mean, he's out and about. I think he's been practicing a little bit, or at least skating around with the team at their practice facility, but hasn't gotten to the point yet where we have any kind of definitive timeline as to when he's coming back or if he's coming back. Because at this point, if they're not going to make it to the postseason anyway, why bring him back at all? Now I'm sounding in total contrast to what I was saying about the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they're still in there with a shot. And the guy's capable of playing, whereas in Barkov's case, if he really can't go anywhere if he returns, then why bring him out there unless he just wants to do it so that he can show himself that he's going to be ready for next season? All right, so we still haven't decided. I mean, with all of this meandering around the horn here, Lubie, we still haven't decided where to begin because a great mystery question right now, and it involves a local team, is what do we make of the Miami Heat, who have now won 5 in a row? 2 of those wins were over Brooklyn, but 2 of those wins were over quality teams. They beat Charlotte when they were red hot. Charlotte was on the road. And now they dismantled the Pistons, who have now lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
The Detroit Pistons suddenly hitting a little bit of a skid, which they hadn't incurred all season long. But the Heat in the process, they do this without Powell in the lineup and without Wiggins in the lineup. So missing 2 guys that would be key components of any success that you think they might have, they still go out there and destroy. Tyler Hero coming off the bench has been amazing.
Yep.
Is it Spoelstra? I mean, do we just ignore this because we're sort of used to it?
He's playing the young guys. Thank you. He's doing what Heat Land has asked all year. And we were willing to ride or die with that. Either play the young guys and suck, so that you can get one of these ridiculous top 5 picks in what is one of the better drafts you've had in a long time, or you can be good. And then, okay, but at least you're good with young guys. That's Ware got 25 minutes. Hakachonis has been getting in the teens every game. Jaquez is getting 20-plus minutes every game. And it works. Ware and Bam together work, which Spoelstra has been around Riley too long. The stubbornness thing he does for the first 6 months of the season, Scoop said it yesterday. Scoop's like, here are the Heat. It's March, waking up. No, Scoop. Every March, Spoelstra finally gives in and does the thing he needs to do, and the rotation magically looks good. He screws around with the rotation every year for 5 months, and it's or 4 months when the season starts. October to February, he tinkers for 4 months with the rotation, and then finally he gives in, and then that's when you used to see Robinson start playing minutes, and you'd see this guy start playing minutes, and then magically they start winning. It's so what were you doing for 4 months, man? Where's look like this the whole year.
Yeah.
Where and Bam have looked like this whenever they play together. Hero's always been better as a bench player. Like these are all things we knew. And I think he's the best coach in the league right now. And I think he's a Hall of Famer. And I think he's top 10. You can put him wherever you want. But like him with rotations, his whole career has always been a weird thing. He always loves to futz with rotations. And what you're seeing is what we've called for. Just play them.
Oh, you were calling for this.
Okay, they suck, but play them. Like, look at how they're. Hawkins is playing really well. Ware's playing really well. Hakachonis gives them a really strong defensive presence that Hero doesn't give them. Like they have more guys that they can mix and match, and other teams are struggling with. Like, and again, they played a lot of garbage, but they just beat the crap out of the Pistons. The Hornets are playing good ball.
The Hornets were playing great when they beat them on the road. That was impressive, and I guess. Look, maybe you caught the Pistons at the right time as they're starting to just slump a little bit. But that being said, they were up 25 in the first half of this ball game. They win it by 11. They've now won 5 in a row. Bam Adebayo passing a milestone only achieved previously by Dwayne Wade with 10,000 points as a member of the Miami Heat. So only 2 guys in Heat history have been able to do that. And Bam happens to be one of them. And then on top of that, they're moving up the ladder here and look like they might be able to dodge the play-in tournament because right now they're 7th and they're actually in a somewhat of a dead heat in terms of games behind with the Orlando Magic. And they have 17 games left to play, one of which is coming up tomorrow night against the Wizards, which you would have to think is a likely win. Trae Young now playing with the Wizards. He's scoring a ton of points and playing real well, but I don't know that makes the Wizards a team that you wouldn't consider that the Heat should lay over. So a realistic chance at even getting as high as the 5th seed and dodging that play-in tournament, which seemed to be an annual rite of spring for the Miami Heat and some of the other teams in the league. But if they can get out of that and continue to play like they are right now, you would have to say, have we decided? Are they good? I'll give you this with your Kalal Ware. Every time I see him in a game, he for the most part is doing something positive. For the number of times that he looks clueless, which is rare. This isn't Hassan Whiteside out there. Where when I'm seeing him play, and I'll admit, I don't think I've watched a Heat game in its entirety all year long. So I'm catching fragments and pieces here and there. Of course, you always get highlights, but every time I see Kalal Ware is doing something good. And I'm with you, Lubie. I was somewhat mystified that he was in the doghouse of Eric Spoelstra, but maybe that goes along in conjunction with his very harsh treatment of young players who haven't immediately established superstardom. And so maybe he's come around to your way of thinking. You think Spo's watching a show? I know Riley was a fan of ours. Thinking, you know what? Lubie is right.
I don't think that for a second.
Screw these guys I have in there. Let me go play the young guys.
Look, I think Heat fans saw something that if we saw it, he saw it. Again, he wanted certain things from them, and he was waiting till he saw it. To me, how are they going to get better without playing? I just, again, you don't want to play him 35 minutes, fine, but there's no reason why Ware couldn't be playing 20, 25 minutes. Him and Bam work really well together. They play really well together. When you have the two of them and then Hakachonis out there defensively, it's really hard for any offense to do anything because they're all long, they're athletic. To me, again, they played a really weak stretch, but at least they took care of the stretch. The Bucks have played better ball. Then they play the Magic, who they're 0-3 against this year, or maybe 0-4. So it's going to get tougher. I think the next 7 games after the Wizards are teams that are playing better basketball. So that's fine. I mean, again, I don't care if they suck. I just wanted to play the young guys. That's all I wanted was play the young guys. And if they win with the young guys, okay. Again, you can't ask professionals to not play hard. So just play them and see what you have. If they start winning, okay. If they don't, okay. At least you have an idea of what these young guys are. And so far, we've seen them play really well. And Bam has played some of his best basketball all year, being surrounded by the young guys. So
all career at this point.
So let it go. Let him play. See what happens.
Excellent points by you, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and that's why you're on the show, because you are a basketball maven. You've been screaming about this all year long. Many times people think that you're overly excitable about certain things, and therefore the point gets lost. But in reality, you're right up there with Hubie Brown on this one. You said play the young guys; they're doing it. They've won 5 in a row, and I got a text from the Polyman last night as they were in the midst of this game, and he has the same question that I do, and a lot of people do at this point, which is, what do we make of it? I mean, are they actually a good team? Are we just watching some kind of a surge by a team that was underachieving all year long? Was it Spolstra that was messing with and pushing the wrong buttons? And finally has realized that his fate can be easily resolved in terms of having some kind of shot to do something in the postseason by sticking with what he's doing. I don't know. All right, there was heartbreak at Bay Hill for one of our good friends, although I'm good friends with this guy through his father, who I was exchanging texts with. But that was tough. I mean, you talk about Heartbreak Hill. That was Bay Hill yesterday for our man Daniel Berger, who was about to lead wire to wire until this guy, and taking nothing away from Batia, who caught him for his third victory. All 3 of his wins on the tour, by the way. This Akshay Batia, who, how does he hit the ball the same distance as these other pros? The guy literally weighs like 14 pounds.
So I feel bad doing this. It's weird about doing a commercial. We could do this on the way back, but this is the news people have been talking about. Supposedly, Tua Tagovailoa will be cut from the Miami Dolphins.
I thought he was going to be traded.
No, he's going to be. Yeah, exactly. No, he's going to be cut, and they will have to eat. And again, we don't know what any of this means. But
what is dead money? What
$99 million of dead money?
How punitive is
that? To not be on the roster.
You know, does that mean is there an equation there where you can't spend whatever? Let's say it's
yes.
over a couple of years or something, or is that if it was $99 million in dead money? Let's say it was $50 million in dead money this year. Does that mean they can't spend $50 million against the cap?
Supposedly, that means that money can't be spent. Yes, that's from what the only knowledge I have.
Amortized over the next 50 years, or like a Larry Bird rule or something.
I don't know. I don't know any of it.
Who can explain it? Somebody.
You know, I've been totally against this move entirely. He's better than any backup in the league, and he's better than like 10 of the fact that all NFL owners or something think he's the worst. Like, I don't know. I know he's not the guy he was 2 years ago. Fine, but he started in 1 game this last year. Like,
what do we not know that the team knows about Tagovailoa?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
Look, if I'm paying this guy this kind of money, or I'm on the hook for it, even if it's reduced by cutting him somehow, whatever guarantees he has beyond this year, they're still on the hook to pay the guy. We just saw this with Kyler Murray, where the Arizona Cardinals have to pay his salary, and a team can sign him for $1 million against their own salary cap, and have Arizona pay for your quarterback, which is always fun when he comes back and beats Arizona. But I would have just played Tagovailoa if I was stuck with him. Wouldn't you? Do not give yourself the so-called, and another one of those phrases that's become cliche to the point of almost nauseum, but do not give yourself a better chance to win by playing Tua over any of the other quarterbacks that they have on the roster, certainly. And what? Any potential quarterbacks that they could find? I mean, are you really going to give the ball to Geno Smith?
No. It's going to be yours. They're going to ride with yours, which I don't care either way. I don't like Tua's not a malcontent guy. Tua's not a guy that's going to
set the apple cart. Yeah.
If he sits on the bench, he's not going to do anything. When he was sitting on the bench at the end of the year, he had a clipboard. He was trying to help. Like, the guy is very happy to get paid.
Sure.
Like, he's not asking out.
Who wouldn't be? I mean, at that point.
Yeah, I don't understand. And people have been calling for this. Okay, no one's explained it to me where it makes sense.
Like, if he's such a great coach, couldn't he possibly get more around? I mean, McDaniel thoroughly and completely 100% embraced the idea that Tua was his quarterback. And for a while, it looked like it was the right move.
Yes.
For a decent period of time, it appeared that, wow, this McDaniel is the answer for Tua Tagovailoa, and he's got the right people around him. He didn't run the ball effectively. And look, is Tua a flawed quarterback? Of course.
Yes, that's fine. He's okay.
Wow. So he's going to be released.
He's going to be cut, yeah. Breaking news.
Is Hank Goldberg breaking that from the grave? Well,
I'm sure they all break. I'm sure they're all fighting over who's going to break.
Who broke the story? All right. So we didn't establish where we're going to begin here, and where we're like almost 2/3 of the way through the show. All right, we're going to take a brief time out. I owe an apology to somebody, a big one, and I really regret including this person in a conversation that was not particularly flattering just last week. NFL free agency opens up, and there are a ton of players there. I do have, as we said, the basketball tournaments. I've been watching a lot of Indian Wells. Amanda Anisimova, who really came on last year, and is just a powerhouse. She's up there with some power, absolutely the number one player in the world. A complete dismantling of Emma Raducanu, who most tennis analysts would say has been disappointing since she won that U.S. Open many years ago. Remember that? It was Leylah Fernandez and Raducanu. And you thought, how the hell did these two get there? Was Raducanu even a qualifier in that tournament? I don't know. I can't imagine. She had to qualify to even get in there and won the tournament, but it's possible. I'll have to check with one of our tennis experts. Just blowing people down. I mean, in a fashion, I was watching a little bit of this match. You talk about being on target. That was Anisimova. So she might be the one to watch there. And a lot of good action on the men's side as well. And of course, we had this just devastation for me yesterday. I really felt badly about what transpired there at Bay Hill. So we'll come back. We'll talk about all of this stuff in a moment. Now that. I like the fact that the people in the sporting community, especially here locally, are starting to realize that Lubie is right about a lot of this stuff. Because you don't always get taken seriously because of the excitability. Imagine a calm Lubie on the show. That would kind of defeat the purpose of his presence. It's 8:38.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right. Start out with the apology, Lubie, or the devastation. What do you want to?
Sure, I want to hear the apology.
I feel badly about this because, look, we're kidding almost a good portion of the time, especially if we're saying things that don't appear to be flattering about a particular person. And there was no reason to attack this woman, except for the fact that when I first saw her on the screen, like a lot of people, you were astounded to see her size because of the fact that you were watching a basketball game. And that is this Audie Crooks from Iowa State University. Yeah. So I'm watching this piece, and I've never felt such guilt and shame in my life. I mean, being a Jew, guilt is not so sure where shame ranks
in the DNA.
I really meant nothing by it. I mean, you hate to fat shame somebody, but I was amazed that the woman that size was playing basketball, and we have seen players that were on the heavy side, but even as we mentioned at the time, Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound. I mean, here's a nickname that suggests this is the fattest slob you've ever seen in your lifetime. And yet, when you look at pictures of Charles Barkley as a young player, he looks like he's just come out of a 9-month gym, very structured, hardcore program, much like he does now that he's dropped all of his weight. Although he's doing that with the aid of what are those things called? The Ozempic type of drugs, Row is one, and
GLP-1s or something like that.
whatever they are. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's endorsing one of those, and it's one of the few times that you've seen him endorse something that you actually thought, man, he's actually using the thing. So, because the rest of the time you have a guy that was in debt to a casino that would have taken, if it was a bookmaker, they would have already taken a bat to his knees.
Yeah.
And he sort of got some special treatment. I guess he eventually paid this marker off, but this was a guy that was recommending that you spend a lot of your time gambling online, betting 10-team parlays and things that are destined to bury you, which is a whole nother topic, the way things are going right now, Lubie. I don't want to dive into that before I issue this apology. I'm not trying to evade. This isn't like the Epstein files where I'm bombing everybody just so I can't have that testimony surface from the 13-year-old girl that has made some very, very astounding claims that appear to have been taken seriously enough to have her interviewed by the FBI 4 times. FBI doesn't mess around, from unfortunately my experience. If they're talking to you for a 4th time, that there's probably some substance to what you're saying.
Yes.
If you're making these kind of allegations. So anyway, that's a whole nother horror show. So when I first saw this Audie Crooks, which I wasn't familiar with her, and I saw some highlights of an Iowa State game, and I thought, my God, that woman is on the large size for a female basketball player. And I idiot that I am, I immediately try to find her established height and weight. And I remember we had remarked that in some areas and some lists, even Wikipedia, they don't list a weight for this woman. She was listed at 220 on one statistical piece of material that I saw. And you might question that. We were talking about it jokingly about Harold Miner's height being 6'5" when he was actually shorter than Luka Panici-Lubitz. And so we see these kind of misrepresentations all the time, height and weight, that sort of thing, depending on which seems to be more advantageous. But I watched this piece on her on SportsCenter last night, and I forgot about how cruel and just absolutely heartless social media can be.
Mm.
And I guess this ties into the gambling story also, that what's going on with gambling as well. But the amount of, shaming that's being done of her, on social media is literally disgraceful. And I felt just tremendous guilt that I had even become the smallest part of that by pointing out that there was an unusually large woman playing college basketball for Iowa State. And she seemed like a delightful person who's dealt with these issues. Her mother was crying, talking about it. Her mother and father were both high school basketball players, I guess, in this small town in Iowa, where she comes from. She seemed, as I said, like just a delightful personality. Don't know what kind of shots she takes from anywhere beyond 2 feet from the basket. But it's pretty amazing that she's able to maneuver like she does and put up 40 points in these ball games. Now, is she just bowling people out of the way?
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, look, you would think that she would be impeded by the fact that they would be likely to be calling fouls on somebody who was overly physical. But that being said, I felt terrible about this, Lubie. I don't know. Will you forgive me for bringing it up under the auspices of Affy Barnrat and some of the other, as we say, we always favor the heavier athletes because, like we were talking about, you don't see a fat figure skater in the Olympic Games.
True.
Right?
True.
It's tough. I mean, it just the two things don't necessarily coincide. Whatever this woman's physicality is in terms of her internal physical nature, she has been dealing with this most of her life. I don't think she was quite that large in high school.
Probably not.
I mean, look, she would grow naturally, but I mean, it wasn't like it was in the same proportion. And I don't want to get back into this because I'm trying to apologize for saying something that I felt badly about in the aftermath of seeing her story. So there you have it, Lubie. As the great Gordon Sully would say, there you have it. Should we never do this again in kidding around, or is it just especially offensive if you're? We weren't really poking fun at this woman. It was just kind of an observation. I don't know, Libby. What do you think about this? What were we dead wrong? You
I
were.
wasn't mocking her for being fat. She's a bigger girl, and
Yeah.
she's also impressive as a player. I mean, like, I wasn't telling her to change who she is. I don't know. That's her life. She's a bigger girl, and she's dominant. Like, that's really all we talked about.
Very effective ball player for this Iowa State team, which you would have to think it's the Lilliputians that are chasing UConn. UConn's record is so phenomenal in terms of winning their conference tournament, Big East Conference. It's some ridiculous number, Louis. Is it that they've won in a row? Did they win like 20 of these tournaments in a row? UConn women. So they appear to be invincible this year.
Maybe. I mean, I'll look. Yeah, I don't know. You've talked about that. I haven't heard. It's funny, without Caitlin Clark, I haven't heard anything about the women's college basketball season at all.
Very little. Yeah, you would have to say without Caitlin Clark, it's an Angel Reese and that rivalry. It seems like it's sort of gone back to. It hasn't gone back into hiding like it was in the past, where nobody talked about it, where you were disgusted if you saw a crawl and you saw one of your favorite teams was beaten by 28 points. Syracuse goes down to some team by 28, and then you go, crap, that was women's. Like you shouldn't care at all about it, but still, as much as it's in the spotlight and you have more attention being paid to the WNBA, its unrivaled league somehow has a television deal, even though I'm not sure exactly what it is, Lubie, about that. Would you really go to an arena to see women play 3-on-3 full court, Lubie? Would you pay money to go see that? Or even if given free tickets, would you take Shirley and say, hey, we're going to see the Unrivaled League? Didn't they have – were they playing all the games in Miami at one point?
I have no idea. When
it's only been around for 2 years now. So
I didn't believe you. I thought this was a lie. I'm like, who cares about 3-on-3 women's? I don't even like the 3-on-3 men's. I'm watching 3-on-3 women's. So yeah, I mean, I'll look it up. I thought you were joking when you brought it up like a long time ago. I didn't realize. I'm like, who's watching this? Like, what is going on?
Zero interest to me. I mean, but that, yeah. I mean, look, if something really exciting was emanating from that, maybe I'd be inclined to tune it in because I watch a little bit of everything. But nonetheless, yeah. I mean, with as you suggested, with the rise in interest overall because of Caitlin Clark and some of the things that she was doing in women's basketball, not that it wasn't getting any attention, because look, Gino Ariema certainly has put them on the map. He's had any number of great players there at UConn, and there are a lot of great players around the country. South Carolina has been great for a while. Before that, I mean, we had all of that business with Pat Summitt and Gino when she was at Tennessee. What was it? Was it the Old Dominion used to be like a really good women's basketball program?
Yes.
Don't hear much
Yes.
about them anymore.
Yes.
And there are others that have been prominent. UCLA has a really good team. I don't know if they're a threat to knock off UConn. And it always, I think, hurts when the chalk is so overwhelmingly better than the rest of the field. You do need a little bit of parity. Look at the National Football League. You have no idea week to week what the hell is going on. You can think, wow, worst team against the best team and still be dead wrong about the outcome of the game, whereas that's not often the case some of these other sports. But we want to apologize to Audie Crooks for being part of the...
Trying to fat shame you. That was not anyone's purpose.
I didn't mean it in that capacity, but the fact that she has to deal with, I mean, just getting slaughtered on social media, it really kind of moved me to think that maybe those comments were inappropriate. So, all right, you're accepting my apology on that, Lubie?
Yes, I believe it's sincere. Yes, I'm accepting it.
All right. Very good. And then we had this, I mean, look, I've known Jay Berger for a long time, since he was a coach at FIU tennis. And this goes back to the origins of Sunshine Network, which is now, I mean, it's gone through many changes, but it's now FanDuel TV. Sunshine Network was part of the whole original crew there and did many, many things, had a lot of great experiences as a part of what they were doing, especially since they were based in Orlando and sort of paid more attention to things that happened in the northern part of the state. They got me my start as a boxing play-by-play announcer on any kind of meaningful level. I had done a couple of things before that. But remember when they had like local cable access TV, Lubie, where wherever you're, in the case of my first boxing gig as a TV announcer, it was on Selkirk Cable, which was the local cable distributor out of Fort Lauderdale. And they had their own channel, and they started doing boxing. And I ended up through the promoter getting a gig to announce the fights, and it was a dream come true for me, as many things were that transpired in this business. And then I was able to convince the general manager of Sunshine Network, when I was doing some horse racing, that I also would be a good choice for their boxing, which they were starting. This was against the wishes of the executive producer, who was a real hard-on. And he was friends. He was Canadian, so he loved this guy, Don Chevrier. You remember an announcer named Don Chevrier?
Yeah, that name sounds familiar.
Very smooth voice. I think he was probably better at other things than he was at boxing, but capable, because people don't demand that much of a boxing play-by-play guy. You could put a lot of schmucks in there, as evidenced by Gus Johnson, and people will accept it. Look, Mauro Ranallo, who is a very intelligent guy. Remember we had that interview with Mauro Ranallo?
Yes.
And he was very eloquent and very well spoken, and was an interesting interview. But as a boxing announcer, I thought he was horrendous, even though people loved him, and he's still doing the Netflix stuff. Now, if you're just into this whole new screaming thing, that's that's unfortunate that this is the direction people have gone in. Joe Tessitore has been destroyed, I think, as an announcer, now doing wrestling.
Yeah.
But the screaming, I heard this even, I don't know who it was. I was flipping around, watching a little bit of the World Baseball Classic. All right, so a guy hits a shot, and I don't know what the perspective is that these guys were getting. Maybe they're not even at the game. Are they not at the stadium and they're calling it? Is that possible, Louis? Because I've done some of this where you're not actually at the site, but you are calling a live game from some studio somewhere. And so you don't really have the perspective that you might if you were sitting there. In this case, I was doing boxing, and you don't have the perspective you would have if you were watching it from ringside. But having been in different locations while trying to call baseball games, including the old Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, when you went from, say, most of the games that we called were at Mark Light Stadium with the University of Miami, and then all of a sudden you're sitting way up there, and a guy makes contact, and you can hear, especially with the metal bat, very distinct. It just sounds like this ball is going to be parked in the seats, and you almost go John Sterling on the thing. It is high. It is far. It's going to be caught by the second baseman, John. It's hard to do to Susan Wallman after talking for a while. But anyway, that's the thing with the screaming. So there's a ball that looks like it's gone. I mean, this ball is just crushed. I think it was by a hitter on a Dominican team. And the hitter knows it's gone because he's just standing at home plate posing, which doesn't always mean that it's out of the park. We've seen it how many times.
It does not. No.
Or it's off the wall.
Yeah.
But the announcer seemed like he was almost on a tape delay. And he's kind of going through some stuff in a very, usual sort of low-key speaking voice. And then he realizes the ball's in the seats, and he starts screaming hysterically. I'm like, what the hell is that, man? I mean, either catch up with the call or, it was like somebody kicked him in the balls, and he started screaming. Pretty incredible. But, perusing some of that, Lubie, I don't know if you've had any interest in it. American team, USA, seems to be just blowing everybody out. Have they played only 2 games so far, USA? But they were blowing out the 2 teams they played in the exhibition with major league teams in spring training. And then it's been like 15-5, 9-1. Israel won a game, Lubie. So there was a shot for you. What's that?
I saw Israel lose. I didn't, and then I was like, "Is Israel's in this?"
They won a game. I didn't realize Cuba was playing. How do they get the gas to get out playing out of Cuba to participate in this stuff? Yeah, it's been sort of interesting. I don't know. Japan has struggled. They've had a couple of nail biters. Japan, even with all of the superstar talent that they have on that team, essentially the L.A. Dodgers moving into the World Baseball Classic. So, have you made anything of it? There have been games here already at Lone Shark Park, and the semifinals. How far away are we from getting to that point where we're contesting the championship rounds of the World Baseball Classic?
I don't know.
Fully anticipating the USA to be a part of it.
Yes. I mean, USA, Japan, and DR are like the cream of the crop. That's what it feels like.
All right. Does it appear that it means something to the players on the USA team? I guess the motivational factor would be one of the key things to have to take a look at. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I mean, these guys are into it. I mean, these guys really get into competition on the world stage. So, I mean, I think I'll get into it at some point. I don't know. So far, I haven't. I know that US, DR, and Japan are playing well. That's really all I've known so far.
All right. Getting back to the travesty here, which I started to talk about before we started meandering into bad announcing. Our man Daniel Berger is leading wire to wire in the Bay Hill Classic.
I thought he won, so I didn't even realize he botched it.
Now, that's always an interesting question. Now, he did make a couple of bogeys in the last 3 holes, barely missing putts. But then he also nailed a very difficult. He had a 2-putt from like 100 feet. And this was on one of those greens that looks like you might even have to, try and traverse a sand trap to get your ball to the hole. Twisting, winding 100-footer. He gets it to within about 8 feet on his original putt, and then has to hold his putt to force a playoff after Badia. Is it Badia or Batia? Sky. He couldn't weigh more than 100 pounds. You ever seen this guy? Akshay Bhatia. He is almost routinely in contention in a lot of tournaments. I'm thinking if you bet him to finish in the top 10, in all of his starts, you're in there with a pretty good shot to be ahead, especially in the last couple of years. Waist can't be more than 18 inches, Lubie. How do these guys do it? I mean, is it just the way they uncoil?
Yes.
I mean, you're looking at Brooks Koepka. You're expecting the guy to smash the ball 300 yards and change down the fairway. What a good drive now is like 340, 350. Is that what they're hitting the ball? Think about that, Lubie. When was the last time? Imagine that. It would take me 2 shots to hit 350 with a 5-wood or something like that. Yeah, and the guy comes on. He makes an eagle on a hole to get within 1 shot. I believe there were still 2 holes left to play at that point. And somehow he manages to flip the switch and gets into Berger has to hole a very tough 7-8 foot putt and an extremely difficult 2-putt on 18 to force the playoff after Badia had already trained his putt to go ahead and force Berger to make. And he does it. But then they go back out to 18, and Batia ends up winning the tournament. And so you had a guy there, and I was texting when Daniel Berger made that putt to send it into the playoff. I couldn't believe it. I was jumping out of my chair here, and I sent Jay Berger a text, just wow. And I hope, did that jinx him, you think, Lubie?
No.
I didn't say it's over.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, it didn't. Golf's weird. And again, Daniel Berger's had his struggles. It's not like he's been
A lot of injuries
on the tour. So him sort of, I don't know if he fell apart, choked, call whatever you want, not being able to finish, like, isn't a stretch of the imagination. Like him winning
was 3 shots with a few holes to play.
No, I thought he won it. I didn't realize he didn't get the job done. But
wire to wire, led from the first round.
Not shocking. I mean, he's had struggles.
I mean, played well enough to win the thing, but unfortunately, he had a couple of putts slide by the hole, which I guess is always going to be the difference in at this level of professional golf. But what a shame it was. I think Jay, his father, had come back. They mentioned that he was somewhere in the crowd, although I didn't see him. And the reason I had gotten in touch with him is because he was coaching. He's coaching Riley Opelka, and so he must have gone from Palm Springs, California, all the way to Orlando to watch his son possibly close out this tournament in what would have been a very, very nice comeback from all of the troubles that he's had from an injury standpoint. Because at one time, a few years ago, you thought this was a guy that was really on the ascent, Daniel Berger. And then you haven't heard much about him because he really hasn't been playing, Lubie. And so this would have been a real nice springboard for him. Maybe it'll serve as such because now you have the golf tournament that a lot of people love for that one hole, the so-called signature hole. And that is 17 at the Tournament Players Championship, where be nice to see Daniel Berger continue this fine play. But wow, what a gut wrencher that was if you took the loss there. Congratulations to Batia, who played certainly a deserving brand of golf to go ahead and get the win. But wow, Heartbreak Hotel, man. You talk about Heartbreak Hill. That was it, Bay Hill yesterday. I've never met Daniel Berger, but I consider him a friend of the family, so to speak. After talking to Jay on one of our interview shows there on Bleacher Brothers a while back and thinking, man, this guy's got an awful lot of sporting acumen, and he has a son. It's kind of like Korda, the Korda family, where Peter Korda was a decent tennis player, but somehow he's got his son is big on the tennis tour, and then of course Nelly Korda, one of the top women's golfers, and she has a sister who also was not as prominent in women's golf, but I think was also very talented and highly touted at one time as well. So that was one that really hurt, Libby. Especially, I mean, imagine if you had money on this guy and he leads wire to wire, it had to be a decent price. And then by the skin, the tee in Titleist was about to drop into the hole. And then the ball just kind of trickled around and went out. All right, we're going to go out too. A couple of other things, though, real quick on the NBA. So are the Heat for real? Did you decide that? Let's get some.
No, I mean, they're not for real. I thought they'd be anywhere from a 6 to 10 seed. It feels like they'll probably end up there. I presume they'd lose in the first round. But it's whatever. I always just want them to play the young guys. Let the young guys get run, see what you have there. You'll probably get a 10 to 15 pick and just keep building the young group because they've done a good job drafting these guys. They don't have any stars per se in that crop, but they have guys that are rotational guys that are helping them win games. So, and I like seeing Bam assert himself, which we finally have seen this last month plus. So are they for real? I mean, the East is horrendous. To me, it's the Pistons and everyone else. I know the Celtics got Tatum back.
Are the Pistons coming back to the pack, Libby?
I mean, they were just so far ahead. They were so far ahead, and they've become the hunted, and they're not used to it. It's a long season. I think they'll be fine. I think they're the best team in the conference, and I think if they can just settle down, they'll be fine. The Celtics with Tatum is the interesting thing because they look good.
Yeah.
In game one, he looked good. I just look at that roster, and it's a bunch of random.
Who are these guys? No, they really qualify us. Who are
they? In or whatever. They had like 16 points. Like, what do you? Peyton Pritchard. That people keep trying to talk themselves into Peyton Pritchard. Derek.
He impressed me when I actually watched.
Fine, these are fine players. They're not going to beat anyone in the West. Like, it's what I've said for years. And the Celtics kept getting cakewalks where they would face injury-riddled rosters, so it would make their team look better. And that was when they had okay players. Like, these guys are like, this is a joke, the roster that they're putting out there. It's impressive that they've been able to be a top 3 seed. Or it's also, to me, a denouncement of what the East is. Like, I think both go hand in hand. Like, it's amazing. They were winning games. Yeah, the roster's horrendous. Like, I'm sorry, it is. So I don't see them going. It
looks like something you would have seen in the 50s.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll win something in the East. They'll win in the East because the Knicks are a weirdly constructed roster. The Magic are weird. The Cavs can't find consistency. They're up and down.
They lose to Boston last night.
Yeah, Boston beat them head to head, and I think the Cavs roster is vastly better than the Celtics roster.
With Mitchell scoring 30.
Yeah. Like, look, the Celtics are gritty and gutsy, and I think that'll work versus the bottom half of the East. I think a Pistons series, when they settle in and they have game in, game out to get ready, they have so much talent, depth, athleticism. Like, I just don't see anyone else in the East touching them. It feels like it's them and everyone else. What gives other teams hope is that they're young, and you see this. Like, the Heat shouldn't beat them by 20 something. I mean, I guess it ended up being 11 because they sat almost their entire team the fourth quarter. But like, that shouldn't happen. And they lost the night before to the Magic, and the Magic are playing better basketball, but still, the Pistons shouldn't struggle like that. But they're a young team, And that's what gives Celtics and Knicks and Cavs hope. I think in the playoffs, they'll settle down. And they've been the best team in the conference all year, and I think they'll do that in the playoffs. So I know the Heat are fine, and I think it's cool to see them win games with the young guys. I like that the young guys are getting minutes in meaningful games, and that's what I want to see the rest of the year. I don't think they'll do anything in the playoffs.
All right. So your conclusion is pretty much the same as it was going into.
I think they're a 6.
So you're happy about that. You see the Panthers missing the playoffs. World Baseball Classic, you don't care about. NCAA, I'm still thinking Florida has a shot to win it all. NFL free agency, I don't know what the local team is going to do. It'll be interesting. It's great for the players because Trent McDuffie just became the highest paid cornerback after being dealt from Kansas City to the Rams. They gave him a ridiculous contract of $142 million. So a chance for a lot of guys to get paid over the next several days here is now free agency is underway. A lot of good stuff going on in tennis and golf. Interesting things as the tennis circuit will come down here a week after this and be there for the Miami Open. Might be worth a little trip down there. Always fun to see these people that you follow on TV in the flesh, so to speak. And I don't know, they have this massive practice court there where you can pretty much see everybody, and they have stands behind it. It's not like, remember we had to find a guy in a little enclave there? It was like, oh, who's that? And we thought it was Muhammad Ali. It was Joe Willie Sanga, and he was hitting with 2 or 3 guys were taking turns hitting against him, and they're blasting the crap. They're shooting howitzers at this guy, and he's just annihilating the ball like there was no tomorrow. So that's always fun to watch just how good these guys are. And yeah, so stuff happening everywhere. Enjoy the college basketball and all of the other things. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss even more stuff. But springtime's delivering, Lubie. Springtime is delivering as you have really a conundrum of virtually everything happening at the same time, with the exception, and even getting your dose, if you're a diehard NFL guy and don't care about anything else, of football news as well. Tua, sayonara. The guy that we tanked for, the guy that we were thrilled to get at number 5, the guy who was leading the league in passing, the guy who was throwing touchdown passes right and left, the guy who put up 70 in a game against the Denver Broncos just a couple of short years ago.
Yep.
They waved goodbye to Tua Tagovailoa. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for being with us. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We will see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time. I don't get the hatred.
It's 9:08.
I don't get the Tua hatred.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.